Hello, Grapperinos, and welcome to another exciting episode of probably next week on Smackdown. I'm Bryon, and once again joined by a guy who is very excited to see Brock Lesnar back in action. Mike, say hi, Mike.
Hello. I am excited to see the return of the sexual predator that is Brock Lesnar.
Oh,
Alleged.
I was gonna say your excitement level is so high, I can hear the fan noise just skyrocket through the atmosphere.
Unlike you, I need to live in a climate-controlled environment, so I have my air conditioner on. It's like 85 degrees outside right now. So
No, that's fine. I just heard a bunch of fan noise and felt I need to tie it in with the hype for Brock Lesnar. But yeah, Brock Lesnar's back and he's challenging John Cena. However, not in France because I guess Brock Lesnar hates France and wants to do it in the US. It's his opinion, but he is going to challenge Cena at some point, maybe Survivor Series, maybe at a Saturday Night's Main Event in Boston. Who knows? Who knows? But Brock Lesnar's back, and John Cena is going to fight him at some point. But for now, it's the build-up to Clash in Paris, where we got other matches to build up. We're going to book the next episode of that according to these rules. I crossed out the first rule because WWE doesn't follow it anymore, I guess. And once they start following it, we can probably put it back on. I don't know. So, there you go. There are the rules. And after we tell you our bookings and predictions for the next episode of SmackDown, we are going to watch the next episode and we are going to just score our predictions and bookings based on this state-of-the-art scoring system, which is as follows. And we are going to tell you our points in the next episode of this here show. So, let's take a look at the points from last week. Or, not last week, last time. We took a little hiatus. But here are the scores. I got a 5.5, and Mike, you got a 3.5. And you have a 9-point lead, which is great for you. And I need to catch up. But I feel a bit confident in my booking for this week's episode. Or I should say the next episode of SmackDown. But I don't know, any commentary here, Mike, before we move on to the rest of the show?
I got 3.5 points last week, mainly because I correctly predicted the AAA Open Challenge.
You did,
with,
yes.
Mr. Iguana.
Yes. You love Mr. Iguana.
I do. I love Mr.
Pet Iguana.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is that enough for you to watch Triple Mania or whatever the hell that name is?
Maybe if there's something on at the time. So I might watch it.
I think they put Dom Mysterio and El Grande Americano in there as well, so...
They did, yes. Your favorite wrestler, El Grande Americano, is showing up.
Hell yeah. Yeah. No, it should be a fun time for sure. If you have nothing else to do, probably. I got a 5.5. I got some things right. Let's just say it's more about the participants than the actual outcomes. But as I said earlier, I feel very confident in the booking for the next episode, so we'll go there right after we take a look at what's announced, which is, I think, the Drew McIntyre promo, and that's about it from what I can tell. Unless I'm wrong, in which case, I don't know, we'll just put it in somewhere, I guess. And with that, let's book this thing. It starts with my version of the show as Jacob Fatu goes into the ring. Jacob Fatu talks about what happened at SummerSlam. Says he wants to go back to the US Championship. He wants to get what's owed to him because last time he was screwed in that steel cage by the MFTs. And then we have Jimmy Uso come out. He says it's his time. You know, he tried to get at the US Championship one time, but he failed. But he feels like this time he's got it. He's got the mojo back. He's gonna succeed. And Nick Aldis comes out and he says that, that's cool and all that you two want the US Championship, but you know what? I found two other guys that want the US Championship more, and you are going to face them tonight. And by tonight, I mean right now. And those two guys are The Miz and Carmelo Hayes, which leads us to a tag team match between The Miz and Carmelo Hayes and Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu. And because I like new people winning and getting opportunities, I'm going to have The Miz and Carmelo Hayes win. And I'm going to start planting the heel turn for The Miz, wherein The Miz and Carmelo Hayes, they're happy, shake hands, and Carmelo Hayes is like, hell yeah, he feels great. Meanwhile, The Miz is like, yes, I am one step closer to the US Championship opportunity. I am gonna have myself a little US Championship win, and I'm gonna screw Carmelo Hayes out of it. And that's what I think is gonna happen. And it's gonna lead to, at some point, Carmelo versus The Miz versus Solo Sikoa for the US Championship at Clash in Paris. I know it sounds a little out there, but I think this is going to feed into the relationship between The Miz and Carmelo Hayes. Can they sort of coalesce as a team? Can they work as a team? Or will The Miz seize the opportunity for himself, act like a true heel, and take the US Championship from Solo Sikoa? I know it's also full on heels, but I think WWE at this point has done this stuff before with the babyface versus babyface matches. So a heel versus heel scenario isn't too far off, at least in my opinion. We're going to move on from that to Johnny Gargano versus Angelo Dawkins. Originally, I had this as DIY versus Street Profits, but I realized I think they're going to do one member from each team. So I have it as Gargano versus Dawkins. And this happens because of a backstage segment from last week, where DIY and Street Profits were arguing because of what happened in the ladder match at SummerSlam, where Candice LeRae, Johnny Gargano's wife, she got a little injured because of a fall from the ladder. And that led to this match right here. And I'm going to have Johnny Gargano win by pinfall. And this leads to next week, where Tommaso Ciampa takes on Montez Ford. And I'm going to have DIY kind of win this whole mini feud, I guess. And it's probably going to lead to DIY versus Wyatt 6 for the tag team championships. And that is that. We're going to move on to Alexa Bliss versus Alba Fire. Because I love 50-50 booking, I'm going to have Alba Fire win. And after the match, we're going to have a Secret Hervis beatdown. And that's going to lead to Secret Hervis versus Alexa and Charlotte for the Women's Tag Team Championships, either at the Go Home Show or Clash in Paris. Although I'm leaning more towards the Go Home Show because, well, I think the Clash in Paris probably has enough matches. So, probably going to be in the Go Home Show. Plus, it's going to be in France anyway, so who cares? So, there you go. As to whether or not Alexa and Charlotte will retain, I'm pretty sure they're going to retain, so there you go. Moving on from that to Damian Priest versus Aleister Black. No, this is not announced. I just put it in here because I'm lazy. We're going to have it end in a DQ as Damian Priest brings out a chair to beat up Aleister Black. I think this will lead to a no DQ match, maybe in the Go Home Show or next week. Although I'm leaning more towards the Go Home Show as well. We're going to stack up that Go Home Show to Clash in Paris because, as I said earlier, it's going to take place in Paris anyway, so who cares? And, well, Clash in Paris has enough matches as it is, so might as well put in the Go Home Show. And as to who wins this feud, I think Aleister Black wins this feud. Moves on to better things. Damian Priest can, flounder in the mid-card some more. I honestly don't have any idea. Maybe go back to R-Truth? I don't know. But that is what I'm going to have there. And moving on from that to Julia versus Michin for the Women's US Championship. I'm going to have Julia win by pinfall. And obviously, because she's a champion. And Jade Cargill comes out after the match, beats up Julia. And that sets up Julia versus Jade Cargill for the Women's US Championship at Clash in Paris. Yes, I want to give Julia a spotlight at the PLE, so might as well put it there at the PLE. I know that Julia has a woman companion. Her name is Kiana James, and I think she's probably going to help Julia retain her title in an intervention in her matches, but I'd rather have Julia win by herself, because that solidifies her as a sort of dominant champion. So there you go. Gonna have Julia win by herself, by pinfall, in this match. Moving on to the main event, or I should say the last segment, which is the Drew McIntyre promo. Now, Drew McIntyre comes out. He says, I am tired. I am sick and tired of the nepotism that is going on in the WWE. I should be at the top of the ladder. I should be at the top of the game, and yet I am saddled with Logan Paul going up against Jelly Roll. This is what you guys have for me? No, I am not taking this anymore. I am taking out Cody, and this is my opportunity to get back to the top where I belong. And even though I had that match with Jelly Roll, I still praise people like Logan Paul, because you know what? At least Logan Paul has no name. He came from nothing. He didn't have a Rhodes. He didn't have an Orton attached to his name. And he came into the WWE successfully. He did it all by himself without any help from upstairs because of his family name. And he says that he wants to take away what matters the most to Cody, which is the championship that he holds. And we're going to have Cody come out and cut the same old babyface promo that the people are behind him. And that Drew McIntyre is just jealous that Rhodes is at the top and he isn't. And that, typical babyface stuff, good guy stuff. He's champion because of the people. The people like him, so he's the champion. And you had your time as a champion without people and with people, so get out of here. You're never going to take the title off of me. We're going to have the brawl between the two, and we're going to have the same spot as last week, but Cody ducks out of the way as Drew McIntyre does his Claymore to the announce table, and Cody comes out on top as Drew McIntyre sells that not injury, but damage from the Claymore as the show goes off the air. Now, this will lead to Cody versus Drew versus a Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship in Clash in Paris. Why do I say that? I think they're going to bring back Randy Orton at the Go Home show for Clash in Paris, and they're probably going to put him into the match, making it a triple threat. Because Randy Orton also wants the opportunity. He wants that number 14 for the championship, and he's doing whatever it takes to get that championship, even though he is a friend of Cody. And then at Clash in Paris, at the triple threat, Randy Orton can turn heel, and that can lead to Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship at Survivor Series. And that's it. That's where we get that heel Orton back to combat Cody. Either that, or they can just have Randy Orton intervene or something like that and get the heel turn there, I suppose. But yeah, I will say that the heel turn happens when Orton comes back and helps out Cody in whatever type of situation he is in. Any questions?
So you're really with Alba Fire going over on Alexa Bliss?
Well, yeah. I mean, 50-50 booking is a thing, so
Yeah,
Charlotte
but
Flair
Alba
won last time.
Fire though over so this.
I mean, yeah. There's gotta be some wins that the Secret Harvest have, otherwise they'll feel like not a threat at all. Even with the beatdown, it's like they just sound like pushified heels. You know?
Maybe like a cheap win.
Yeah, like a roll up or
Interference.
something,
Yeah.
or interference. Yeah,
Okay. That would make more sense to me then.
yeah. Plus, I have the beatdown after, so just to get that exclamation point on it. Any other things? Any other things you wanna ask about the booking?
No, I am good. I'm ready to get into my booking.
All right, let's go.
Starting off with a Drew McIntyre promo about attacking Cody Rhodes. He says he still has beef with Cody. He's still angry because he carried the company during COVID and he gets no credit for it. He says he wants Cody one-on-one in Paris. Cody comes out. He confronts Drew and he begrudgingly accepts. Drew then attacks him as he's trying to leave the ring, and Cody is saved by Randy Orton. Throughout the show, a main event fight is booked: Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the main event of SmackDown.
You see, I also thought of that as well, but I thought they might do it on the Go Home show instead of this episode.
So I looked on the website again, and I saw that Randy Orton was a featured superstar. So I know they're gonna they have to get featured in some significant way.
Okay. So do you think this still leads to Drew versus Cody, or do you think this will be a triple threat?
No, it's Drew versus Cody.
Okay. All right. So you're leaning on Randy intervening in that match, and then helping out Cody. Okay. I see. All right. Do you think Orton does a heel turn in that match?
No, maybe after Drew loses in Paris, Randy can turn heel and go after Cody again.
All right. Sounds good. All right. We're going to move on from that to
DIY versus Street Profits. Because Tommaso Ciampa is in his hometown, I think DIY is losing. And this is teasing a DIY breakup again. Unfortunately, we will not be eating well because they always have them lose in their hometown. So
didn't Sami Zayn win against what's his name?
Why
Solo?
Fuck they are booking Sami Zayn like a fucking champion. I don't get it. He's almost in that Cena wins all state where he just wins every fight because it's Sami Zayn.
I guess they're like attempting to book him as an underdog, which kind of doesn't work.
He's an underdog that keeps winning all of his fights against much larger opponents that should be winning. Yeah. At what point does he stop becoming the underdog?
I don't know, but I don't know. I guess he was in Montreal, and people are like, okay, well, we like Sammy, so and by the way, I know we are sidestepping to Raw, but I'm gonna put a conspiracy theory hat on, and I'm gonna say that this was well timed that Karrion Kross was let go, because that audience at Montreal did not say anything about Karrion Kross. Nothing at all. They love Sammy.
See, that's where you're wrong. Netflix was using the state-of-the-art AI technology to suppress the "We Want Kross" chants in the crowd.
So it's a production job.
Yes.
So when they're saying "We Want Kross," they just like put in crowd noise.
Yes, some generic French crowd noise. Yes. When they do some AI translations, it's translated into French so no one can understand it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. All right, so in this case, DIY loses. Oh man, breakup this soon. Interesting.
I mean, they teased it before and then went back to being together, and they need to do something with this tag team division to make it more interesting.
Well, yeah, especially since you have Wyatt Six on it, which is sort of like the big bad of the tag team division. I don't know. They're probably gonna have to do something. I mean, they kind of culminated in the Infinity War thing where all of them went against the White Six. So what else can you do?
Yes.
So this kind of, I'm just saying, this all seems kind of futile. But anyway, if they do break up, then I'll be disappointed once again. But who knows? Maybe Ciampa and Gargano can put on some banger matches after that. Moving on to
An LA Knight promo. Even though he is booked for a 4-way title fight for the Raw Championship, for some reason, he is a featured superstar on this episode of Smackdown. So this isn't me. This is not me shoving him in.
boy.
This is actually the dub shoving him in here. So don't blame me for this.
Yeah, this is why we removed the first rule from. This is why. This is.
I'm just reading the tea leaves that they're putting out. Okay, I'm just doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that he's going to come out and talk about his fight in Paris again, despite it being a Raw Championship. He is then interrupted by the MFTs, who try to beat him up a little bit, and he is saved by Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu is also a featured superstar for this episode of SmackDown. See, now I'm getting confused, man.
I don't know. You gotta ask Road Dogg. You gotta ask Road Dogg. What's going on, man?
So this bleeds into the next match, which is Jacob Fatu and LA Knight versus the MFTs. Jacob Fatu and LA Knight win this fight.
Yeah. All right.
I know LA Knight had some beef with the MFTs, and I think this is a way for them to end it at least a little bit, so that LA Knight can go into the main event scene in Raw for a little while.
Okay, so you think Jacob Fatu is gonna challenge Solo again for the US Championship, or do you think LA Knight's gonna come back once he gets buried in Paris to get back at the US Championship? Where do you see LA Knight going here? Or Jacob, I should say.
My heart says that I want LA Knight to win the championship, but that's not going to happen.
No.
But my mind says that he probably does get buried and he goes after the US title again in SmackDown.
All right. Yeah, no, it just sucks. Although I would say that Damian Priest can also go for the US Championship and make it a triple threat. That could also be the case here, but
And Aleister Black too, yes.
yeah, Fatal 4-Way for the US Championship. Why not? I mean, you got MFTs, Solos in there included, so that's 4. There you go. Fatal 4-Way. Wait a minute, this is mimicking Seth Rollins now. But whatever. We're gonna move on from that to
A Tiffany Stratton promo. She addresses who's next, who's going to be fighting Tiffy time, and she's interrupted by everybody's favorite big-time wrestler, Nia Jax. I know, I can tell Bryon is excited.
you bastard.
Much like the prior promo, Tiffany is saved from getting her chest caved in for the second time by Jade Cargill. Comes out, and they have an awkward stare down, and I think this leads to probably a 3-way fight at some point in the future between Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Jade Cargill.
Yeah, I don't know where Nia Jax is. Is she injured?
Nope, she's uninjured.
What the? Okay. Alright. Okay, so do you think at this point... So Jade didn't win at SummerSlam, right? Do you think
Yes.
Jade has a chance at winning this triple threat?
So I think they give her one more shot to try to build her up a little bit. And I think she loses either to Tiffany again or to Nia Jax. And then I think she goes down the card and probably challenges for the women's US title at some point.
Alright, yeah, that makes more sense, yeah. Well, I I would like it if Nia Jax moves on to the US Championship, challenge Julia, go injure her, I guess, but I don't think that's gonna happen anyway. But all right, no, I'm definitely privy to that option for sure. Moving on from that to
Carmelo Hayes and The Miz versus Andrade and Rey Fenix. This is partially confirmed because last week The Miz said that they have a tag team fight this week on SmackDown. I am also going with 50-50 booking here, and because Carmelo Hayes is fighting in his hometown and Tommaso Ciampa already lost, I'm thinking that Carmelo Hayes probably wins this one. And the way I see it going down is basically that The Miz fucks up in some fashion, and Carmelo Hayes saves him. And Carmelo is kind of like, oh, see, I don't really need you. You know, you're just kind of holding me back. And that leads to them breaking up. So what was interesting is last week, The Miz said he had some other, offer for Nick Aldis. So I don't know exactly what he has planned. I couldn't really figure it out. So I just think they win their tag team fight.
That's why I booked the US Championship thing, because I think that's what he's going for, is the US Championship. But he feels like he has to owe a debt to Carmelo Hayes. He feels like he has to tell the truth. So he also tells him, I want a tag team match, but I also want a US Championship match on the side if we win. So that's why I kind of have it booked that way. But I don't know. Unless it's a championship match, I don't see what else The Miz would attempt to do. Honestly, like I don't really know. Also, it's kind of interesting that you have Carmelo Hayes win, and not Tommaso Ciampa. you got to have one homeboy win, not both. You say that The Miz doesn't really have any sort of road, or you don't really know what The Miz is going for. Do you think Carmelo Hayes will eventually get a shot at the US Championship?
I think he should, yes.
Okay. Maybe at like Survivor Series or later into that?
Probably at like, I would say it's Survivor Series. Yeah.
Alright. Okay. Moving on to
the main event, Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. I think there is a DQ win for Randy Orton thanks to interference from Logan Paul.
Oh, you mean Logan Paul attacks Randy Orton?
Yes, Logan Paul attacks Randy Orton, causing a DQ win for Randy Orton. This, I think, leads to another tag team fight, maybe at Paris, probably between... I'm not going to say Cody Rhodes, actually. It's Cody Rhodes already in a fight. Definitely not Jelly Roll, but maybe later down the line this leads to a tag team fight between... or maybe... I don't know. Maybe this leads to Logan Paul interfering at Drew McIntyre's behalf at Paris, but he still loses now.
I think they're gonna treat Jelly Roll like Big Boom AJ. Like whenever they go somewhere, they're just like, "Hey Jelly, you want to do a match or something?" And Jelly's like, "Yeah, sure, man." And there you go. They're gonna keep doing it until he's like actually fit, and then they could do some. He could be in the WWE kind of full time, I guess, or maybe part time, kind of like a Logan Paul or something like that, so that they have another one of them, if you know what I mean. But okay, so I already talked about the Randy Orton thing, but Logan Paul has a match with John Cena. And do you think that Logan Paul wins against John Cena? I mean, this is like... this is just probably worthless, this match between him and John Cena, and this question may sound stupid. But what do you make of Logan Paul and John Cena in a match at Paris?
Yeah, I think that might happen. I was about to say, John Cena actually saves Cody, but because Randy was featured, I put Randy in here. It would make sense for John Cena to fight Logan Paul at Paris for his Tribal Tour, and then his next fight is going to be after that is obviously Brock Lesnar. And then yeah.
All right. Well, with that is about it for our predictions and bookings for the next episode of SmackDown. And as I said earlier, I'm gonna let you guys know, or we are, what we have for our points after we watch the next episode of SmackDown in the next episode of the show. Well, probably next week on SmackDown. But until then, thank you so much for ordering a blue cheese pizza called probably next week on SmackDown from Grapperinos. And remember, if you're down for some fresh, oven-baked, crispy wrestling content, stop on by Grapperinos and order yourself some content you can grapple with. See you next time, Grapperinos.